Welcome to Mixed Combat Radio. It is a late night here in LA. It's 10 p.m. Me, JP, Santiago, bringing you a late immediate reaction show to the ShoBox card last night. A sort of actually late preview show to Bellator. And a reaction to Artur Beterbiev versus Sullivan Barrera for the eliminator for Andre Ward for the IBF title. A lot of interesting news. JP, Santiago, how you doing, guys?
I'm well, man. Looking forward to this Bellator 170. Tito, Chael, excited about it.
You sounded so fake with that, by the way, JP. But it's okay.
Uh,
I love the pretend enthusiasm from a complete casual MMA fan.
He's
Santiago.
not he's not the only complete casual friend on here. I was pretty much just focused on the ShoBox card and also the news about Beterbiev Barrera. So I'm looking forward to talking about that and trying my best to hold my own on the entire MMA card.
well, I'm always a sucker for trash talk. You can always get me with good trash talk, and we've had some good trash talk leading into Bellator 170.
Now, JP, I've been tagging you in Twitter videos of the trash talk. I don't know if you've been watching them all. I don't know how much you've seen of the promotion, but what do you think of the trash talk? To me, it almost seems corny as fuck. I'll be completely honest, but I can see how just from a casual fan, oh, these two guys obviously hate each other. They're trying to trash talk really hard. I can't help but be entertained. So what's your view of it?
Well, I like the real vitriol in it. You know, if it's not authentic and they're just trash talking for the sake of trash talk, I'll take that as long as they actually hate each other. And so that's where I am with it. They hate each other. So to me, they're going to try to hurt each other, and that's good.
Santiago, I'm assuming you haven't seen none of the promos for this.
You'd be pretty much winning a hell of a wager right there.
Well, it's interesting because you have Chael Sonnen, and so we'll just preview the Bellator card very very fast and get to the boxing. Uh, Chael Sonnen, obviously has his PED issues. He's been tested and tested positive for 4 different PEDs on 2 or 3 different occasions. It's hard to keep track. So this guy has a storied past MMA, and obviously his rivalry with Anderson Silva, doing 1 million+ pay-per-view buys, and the rematch was big. So he has a place in MMA history, even though it's a weird place and a weird legacy. And you have Tito Ortiz, who at one time was the best light heavyweight in the world. He at one point had the longest reign at the light heavyweight division at the top as a champion, with 5 title defenses until John Jones came and just destroyed that record. And Tito Ortiz is kind of an interesting legacy that he has left as well, because the second half of his career, he's been left with weird press conferences. Just we have defined in the MMA community as Titoisms. How what's his name, that baseball player, Yogiisms. Yogi Berra, the Yankee player. Titoisms is sort of another thing. It's just dumb, idiotic statements. That's Tito Ortiz in a way. He's kind of a goofball and a caricature of himself. He's a Latino from Huntington Beach, California. And he's a Trump supporter. He's just a caricature at this point. But I think both guys in their primes were really good wrestlers. I think at this point they are limited in what they can do. I'm going to go with Tito slightly because I think he's just vastly bigger than Chael. I think he has I don't know. I think Chael being off for a while because of his drug suspension, I think is an issue. And Chael Sonnen, obviously, unfortunately, this is sad news. He lost a child during childbirth a couple months ago, I believe, during the summer. So I don't know what that's weighed on him personally and how that's affected him. That's pure speculation, but I know that if I was in that shoes, I would be not in the right state of mind for a while, I would say, in that situation. But JP, I assume that you've heard of Tito Ortiz or seen some of his fights from back in the day. He was a big name in a way. Maybe you've seen Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva. And Santiago, I know you've seen highlight videos, so, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, yeah,
Go ahead, Santiago.
yeah. From watching the highlight videos, I was able to easily garner and grasp an understanding on Chael Sonnen, the kind of life he had, and I could see his personality reflected in his aggressive fighting. So he's a very intriguing person to me. Obviously I don't know much. I don't know as much as you would. I'm purely a boxing fan, but I've seen Chael on shows like Sports Science, so it's kind of like I've heard the name before.
For me, man, I'm 35 years old, so you are 21. So in Tito Ortiz's prime, I'm sure you were not watching UFC at that time.
Oh, I was.
I really well. I remember the Huntington Beach Bad Boy. I actually remember playing the old UFC video game, and Tito Ortiz was the man on that shit. So, from my quick understanding of the ties the two have, uh, Chael has actually pinned Tito Ortiz when they were both in college. So
Yes.
he's technically, yeah. So he's technically the better wrestler. The difference now, as they've come of age, is that Tito is a massive man at lightweight, whereas Chael is kind of a
Light
smaller guy.
heavyweight. Light
So,
heavyweight. But yeah.
right. So you have the contrast of the better technician versus the bigger, stronger man here, and I think a lot's on the line for both because, from my estimation, which is not a lot, it seems like this is kind of a fight where the loser goes into the abyss and the winner kind of has some options on the table.
I completely agree. Predictions on the bout. JP?
Uh, I'm gonna take Ortiz because it seems to me that Chael has always come up short in big fights.
I
So I'm
agree.
gonna take Ortiz.
Santiago.
Yeah, don't take anything I say regarding my prediction with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously, I don't know as much as you guys, and to any of the listeners listening to this right now. But I mean, if I had to pick, right, gun to my head after seeing their respective highlights, I'd be a little bit more inclined to pick Tito Ortiz too, because he's got really good technique and like as good as the aggression that Child has. Uh, for me, technique always wins out when it comes to dealing with those kinds of fighters.
True. And a quick caveat to this fight is that obviously Tito Ortiz has had several neck surgeries throughout the last 4 or 5 years, and I think that has obviously affected his ability to perform in the ring and his cardio as a result, and his just ability to train and everything. Just the wear and tear of a decade, 15-plus-year MMA career that takes a lot out of a person or any sport. Doing that for 15 years takes a lot out of their body. But same with Chael. So I think it's sort of they're on equal level almost in terms of where they're at in their career and all the surgeries they've had and the layoffs they've had. So it does almost come down to technique in some way. You almost have to ignore the X factors. So it's a clean sweep for Tito. I'm kind of shocked about that. And I think the co-main, I could be wrong, but I think the co-main is going to be Raylick Gracie versus what's his name? Hisaki Kato. And Hisaki Kato is famous for knocking out Joe Schilling, and Joe Schilling is famous for basically being a good kickboxer and homies with Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz and training with them all the time. And he comes in unknown, knocks out Joe Schilling with a Superman punch in Bellator, and then beats him in a rematch in kickboxing only rules, and so he's become sort of a name within Bellator. And then you have Raylick Gracie, who hasn't competed for a very long time. The last time he competed was against Sakuraba, and Sakuraba is very well past his prime. And Rayleigh Gracie obviously has had financial issues with his own competition jiu-jitsu promotion, Metamoris. I think that's possibly a reason why he's coming back to fighting to make some money. He's had bad striking, but obviously he's a Gracie, great jiu-jitsu. It's an interesting matchup, a pure striker versus grappler matchup. Santiago, I know I've sent you some quick highlight videos. What's your assertion of this matchup?
Once again, just going off the highlights and what I've been able to gather on my own, you know, Hisaki Kato, he's got a really strong, versatile left. I like the way he manages to use it in different ways. And with Relic Gracie, he's got a type of slickness to him. You know, when I see him maneuvering, you know, almost in a snake-like fashion with his opponents. So like, I feel like slickness is always something to look out for whenever you are fighting somebody, and you know, I really can't say more than that.
So you're picking Gracie.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I've dealt with my fair share of slick fighters in my time sparring, and oh man, they are so hard to pin down. You know, I mean, I've got a really versatile right myself, but even then, that only took me so far with those kinds of fighters.
And especially since it is a Gracie and a very well credentialed Gracie in terms of grappling, if you get anywhere close to him on the inside, he's going to tie you up potentially and take you down, and you don't want to be on the ground with Gracie. I do agree that if Gracie gets this to the ground, it could be game over very fast because of his skill in terms of jiu-jitsu. JP, have you seen any of these guys? I'm assuming not.
Well, you know the thing about assuming, the first three letters are ass. So, Rayleigh Gracie has a perfect record in MMA of 3-0, and I guess his claim to fame is beating the Gracie Killer in Kasasushi Sakuraba.
Yes. And who
So, and
Sakuraba was
then
well past his time. That was like Sakuraba was just a shell of himself. It was really sad to see.
really it was that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and another thing I'm coming across here is that he actually has a rap video. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, they say it's pretty bad. But and then we have Kato, if I'm pronouncing his name
Yeah,
correct, and he's
sure.
coming off a TKO win in Bellator 162, and that's his claim to fame. So it seems like we have a guy trying to reclaim his spot in MMA, and we have and that guy being Gracie seems like the older guy, from my understanding, and then we have the younger Kato, who seems to be the guy on the upswing, kind of more the prospect, and I guess that's the battle there. You have the prospect versus the guy trying to get a grip on his career, what it seems like to me.
And a prediction?
Uh, I'm gonna take the young guy. I'm gonna take Kato. I'm gonna take Kato by knockout. As a matter of fact, fuck it,
I'm also going to take
going all out.
Kato or Kato by a knockout as well. Obviously, there's a infamous sparring video between Rayleigh Gracie versus Nick Diaz. And if you haven't seen that, go check it out, Santiago and JP. You would find that very interesting. And Rayleigh Gracie does not like getting hit to the body. So I can see maybe Kato landing a great kick to the body, following up some good shots up top. Rayleigh Gracie has very stiff upper body movement at times, in my opinion. He comes in very tall. He's susceptible to getting knocked out, in my opinion, just from a technique standpoint. So I'm gonna pick Kato. I think he's there for. I think Rayleigh Gracie is there for a knockout, and I think Rayleigh Gracie not being in MMA full time compared to a guy who's really in combat sports and MMA and kickboxing full time like Kato, you can't compete with that, in my opinion. Just because you're a Gracie doesn't mean you're the shit nowadays. Unfortunately, it's 2017. It's not 1993. The next bout.
So let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
Matt. As a
Yeah.
casual, um, is MMA fighting like riding a bike? And that meaning, is it like if you're good, now I could assume that there's a person that's just such a natural talent that they could step away for 2 years
Yeah,
and
but
then
those are
just walk in
outliers.
the ring
Yeah, those are outliers.
and be the champion. But for the most part, for the most of us who aren't God gifted, can you? Is it like where a guy can just go absent for 5 years, then return and be the top level fighter?
No, there's no history of that in the sport.
So a guy like John Jones, can he just come back after this long out the ring and beat Daniel Cormier?
Well, he's only going to be out for a year.
So his
That's nothing.
inactivity.
A
So
year is not that bad. We've seen that happen with guys with injuries before, and they come back and hit that. But I mean, like 2 years, 3 years, that's really hard to do. The only guy I've really known to do that, it was Dominic Cruz, and he had 2 ACL surgeries and was off for like 3 years. He was the champion. They had to strip him of the title. He came back and actually won the title. Um, so that's the only case I can remember in MMA, at least, of a guy being off. But with Rayleigh Gracie, remember, it's not because he was injured. It's because he was trying to be a promoter and failing at it. You know, it's not like he was in the gym all the time working on it or dealing with injury. He was off doing other things than MMA. And now it seems like because he did come out and said he's in money issues. He's in debt because of Metamoris, which is his jiu-jitsu promotion. And now he's taking a fight in Bellator. You know, to me, that just screams, I need the money.
okay, I have one more super casual question I have to get off.
Go for it.
I'm scrumming through Twitter one day, and I come across this person called War Machine. So I'm like, what the fuck is War Machine? That's a cool name. So I start reading into him.
Oh, God.
I start getting into it. So he has some hot, big titty porno girlfriend with tats everywhere. And I'm going into that. So I think they start doing porn. Then the next thing you know, he like beats the shit out of like a full function of people. Like, I don't know what happened, but something happened where he beat the hell out of her and he beat up a whole party of people and he went to jail. And so I'm reading his jail letters and they're just so interesting. Uh, what's up with War Machine? Was he good? Like,
No. No,
I'm
he was on the
interested in War
juice.
Machine.
He was on the juice heavy. No, he was never
Okay.
like top 10.
Oh, really? Shit, I'm
No.
thinking with a name like War Machine, and then he just beating every damn thing up because in the description of the detail of what sent him to jail, he just went into rage and just beat everybody up at some kind of party or something.
Here's the official facts of what happened. His girlfriend, I forget her name, Christy Mack, who was an ex-girlfriend at the time, was at her place with the guy. He comes breaking in, beats up the dude, tells him to leave or he's going to kill him. The guy leaves, and then he beats up and practically almost kills Christy Mack. And now the motherfucker's in prison. Tried to hang himself and shit. He's all skinny now because he's not juicing. So fuck John Copenhaver, because that's his actual name. Fuck him. And I think we should just move on because I don't think he's really worth the time. But no, he was never top 10. Never top 10. Not even close.
Had to ask about War Machine.
Hey JP, if you want to know more about that entire situation, look him up with Real Sports. They did a segment on him.
Yeah, it's a really good
okay.
segment. Really good. I forgot about that. Great reference there, Santiago. Now let's get back to some fighting. Paul Daly versus Brennan Ward is one of those fights that just, to me, equals all violence all over it. Paul Daly obviously is infamous for how he got kicked out of the UFC by punching Josh Koscheck after the final bell. He's never been allowed in the UFC since. He's now, he's gone on to round of the year fights with like Nick Diaz. Pretty successful kickboxing career as well. A sort of star in the UK in terms of MMA at least. Great striking, great personality, and then you have Brennan Ward, which to me is like the quintessential, almost like Midwestern like boxer wrestler who's just gonna go in there and throw bombs, overhand rights, look for that takedown, look to throw elbows on the ground, look to be on top control. But I still think this fight's gonna be great on the feet. Brendan Ward has power in both hands. Paul Daly, obviously known as Semtex Daly, has a huge left hook. So I think this fight's going to end in just a great knockout. I want to pick Daly, but I'm going to go Ward, and only because I think Daly to me, is the type of guy who's just naturally good at fighting. So he never really pushes it. He's one of the guys that just goes through rounds. He's not really getting hit with like tons of stuff all the time. Thinks he's winning it, throws a couple shots here and there that are nice. Just one of those guys that just is almost too natural. He's a guy that, who street fought a lot, and those type of guys are different. Like a Jorge Masvidal is like that. Diaz brothers are similar to that.
Hold up, Matt. Hold on. Now, which one of these motherfuckers got cornrows?
Cornrows. That must be Brendan Ward. The white guy.
I'm gonna take the guy
right?
The light skin. Whoever is light skinned with cornrows, I'm taking him.
Do I even want to ask why that's the criteria for how you pick a fight? I don't even know if I want to get into that.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Because anyone who wears cornrows in 2017, you have to assume is crazy and they don't give a shit about societal perceptions. Also, being light-skinned with cornrows, that means you're double crazy. Take the guy that's light-skinned with cornrows, I guarantee you.
Okay, so JP is going to Brendan Ward. Santiago, what's your thoughts on the fight and prediction?
Oh, God. Thank God I muted myself because I had to laugh at that. No offense to you, JP, but that was just too funny. All right, my assessment on Paul Daly and Brendan Ward is Paul Daly has pretty impressive form, even when he gets wild. I mean, some of his shots do come off wild, but even then, he doesn't really lose his composure in my eyes. And
I agree. It's a really tough fight. It's a really tough fight to pick.
Yeah, and then Brendan Ward, my God, he has some incredible power in his punches, especially with the generation he gets from his arms or his legs or anything. I mean, Jesus, some of those knockouts made me think back to my sparring days with a friend of mine from the Marines, and it's like, shit. So, like, I honestly, I wouldn't know who I would pick because both guys look really good, but like, if I were to go based on what I've seen, I would probably pick Daly just because he has some pretty good form compared to Ward. But if he is as what's the word? I guess content in his not powerful, but as content in his performance as you make him out to be, then I could see Ward easily taking the fight with him because he's got that thing in him that makes him want to push the envelope to get the win.
Yeah, man, you almost have me swayed, Santiago. It's such a tough fight to pick. This is, to me, perfect matchmaking by Bellator. Two guys that are... One guy's obviously towards the end of his career, but has had a great legacy in MMA, in my opinion, in terms of Paul Daly. And then you have a guy like Brendan Ward, who's kept trying to come up, and he's been a Bellator guy forever. So it's almost like a passing the torch bout, but it's still Paul Daly. And you're right, Santiago. His technique is very top-notch, especially for MMA. You don't see a technique like that in MMA that often, especially on like Bellator scene or the regional scene. You don't see that. You may see in the UFC, obviously, at the top level. But Bellator, you don't see that. So, man, tough fight. You're picking Daly, right, Santiago?
Yeah, if I had to pick, gun to my head, I would pick Daly just based on the fact that even when he gets wild, he still keeps his form, he still keeps his composure.
Okay, and JP's picking Brendan Ward purely because of cornrows. So you know what? I can't go with that. I fuck it. I'm switching. Santiago, you got me convinced. I'm switching. Paul Daly, he's gonna win by decision. It's gonna be a very tough fight, very close fight. I can see a split decision type of win, especially 3-round fights. They can go by so fast at times. Um,
You guys are gonna learn the lesson here. Don't fuck with people with cornrows. I'm telling you. That shit is a red flag. If you see anyone with cornrows, go the other way. I do.
Oh god. Okay, so let's break down the next fight on the card very fast. Then we can get to boxing. I don't know if I told you to look at this fight, JP. If you didn't, don't worry about it. Santiago, Georgi Karakhanyan versus Emmanuel Sanchez. What's your thoughts and prediction on the fight?
Oh, well, I wasn't able to really take much out of watching the highlights of either fighter. When I look at Georgie, he to me he looks like your prototypical mixed martial artist, the kind of guy you would expect to be competing in something like the Bellator or UFC or any of those promotional companies. And Emmanuel Sanchez has good punching and really good kicking. I don't know. I don't know much about when it comes to kicking or anything, but it wasn't a lot for me to take away from those guys. If you wanted me to pick who I think is gonna win, I personally can't really say, and that's just due to my lack of knowledge of either fighter.
No, Santiago, you don't get off like that. Gun to your head.
No, of course I'm not gonna get off. But if I had to pick,
you're casual. The listeners know you're super
no,
casual. It's
of
okay.
course, any mixed martial artist out there who's listening to this, remember, I am uber casual when it comes to mixed martial arts. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. If I had to pick, I would probably pick Georgie because, like I said, when I see Georgie, he looks to me like your prototypical mixed martial artist. And the only thing I was able to take away from Emmanuel Sanchez is he's got good punching and good kicking.
JP, have you heard of these guys or seen anything on these guys?
I got nothing on them, man.
All right, I'll give a quick prediction and thoughts on this fight. I think your assessment to their technique and style is very accurate, Santiago. I don't think you're wrong at all in that assessment. My prediction's a little bit different, though, purely due to this. I think Georgie is a little bit long in the tooth. I think he's had a longer career. Obviously, both men have not combined losses, common losses to Daniel Weichel and Pat Curran, who are more at the top of the division. So obviously, these guys don't have a high ceiling. I'm going to pick Emmanuel Sanchez in a sort of grinding out affair. I can see this one not being exciting. I hope it's exciting. But I think George is a little bit more longer in the tooth, and that's going to play a huge factor into this bout. Now, let's get to this immediate reaction ShoBox card for Adam Lopez versus what's his name?
Daniel Roman.
Daniel Roman, thank you. Roman looking pretty decent in the bout. Obviously, he was just connecting with the harder shots. He was pressing Lopez more, putting in just the more efficient work throughout the bout. And obviously, the first few rounds were more of a feeling out process. Both guys weren't really comfortable with the range and the timing yet. And then once Roman really hurt Lopez, he just started unloading and really started doing his best work of the bout. And finished him, I think, in the 8th round or the 9th round?
Ninth round. End of the 9th round.
Yeah, the end of the 9th round. The corner stoppage. I don't think either guy obviously has a high ceiling in their division. But I don't think they have a low bottom either. I think they're kind of top 20, top 30, gatekeeper sort of status guys. Neither guy are going to be champions, in my opinion. But entertaining scrap. Thoughts on the bout, Santiago?
Oh yeah, I've seen Adam Lopez fight before on other ShoBox cards, and I'd never heard of Danny Roman up until this fight, but you were right. Those first 3 rounds were more of a feeling out process. I mean, you were pretty much like, this fight sucks. You weren't giving a shit. But the nature of the fight changed in that 4th round when Roman just landed that beautiful left hook to the side of the chin, on Lopez, and basically from there it pretty much just became Roman's fight easily. Adam did have moments here and there in the fight, but that was more on him just simply avoiding it and not really doing much outside of that. He Roman came in there and basically just said, "I'm here to win. Fuck the fact that you're, in this case, the A side, since he was, Adam Lopez, Daniel Roman, and he got the win. Ronnie Shields told him straight up, show me something or I'm going to stop the fight. 2 rounds later, he stops the fight. I thought that was a good stoppage on his part. I look forward to seeing Daniel more often from here on forward. And yeah, I don't expect these guys to maybe become known anything outside of ShoBox. Like when we look back on these guys, we're gonna think, oh, remember that time he fought on ShoBox, that fight he had, all that good stuff. No high ceiling, but also no low ceiling either, like gatekeeper status, like you said.
JP.
I got nothing on the guys, man. But sad to see Adam Lopez lose. He's kind of a TBV family member in a sense, and sad to see the guy lose. I know he works hard.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I know Adam's a good guy. He's been on the show a lot, and he's always seemed like a very good guy, a very fun guy to be around and to talk to. And I think he's going to bounce back. I just don't think their respective styles and skills are elite. But that doesn't mean they don't have a place in boxing. I think a lot of people are quick to write out people as bums. And, even I'm guilty of that. And I think that, the sport needs gatekeepers at every level. And that's just their legacy is that. And then that doesn't make it less honorable than any other person's legacy, in my opinion.
Definitely, if that was the mentality we had when Arturo Gatti was still fighting, he wouldn't be around to be talked about. It's really as simple as.
Yeah, think about like an Arturo Gatti nowadays. Like he wouldn't be remembered the way he was 2 decades ago, right?
Well, they don't let fights go the way they went 2 decades ago. Do you
Good
think
point. Good
a
point.
fight could actually be like Ward Gotti? Watch those fights, dude. Those fights are fucking insane.
No,
They are
Yeah,
very good
literally
point. Very good
Rocky
point, JP.
fights.
JP, you make a good point, but what we're talking about is basically losing because back then when Arturo Gatti was fighting, HBO had this really stupid one and done rule where if you lost, that was it. You were done fighting for them, and Gatti was the reason that when a fighter loses, we don't look at them and be like, okay, like let's see who else is next. We actually look at some of them like an Ivan Ajeda, and we're like, I want to see you fight again, even though you lost.
Or think about
You know,
guys
that's
like Orlando Salido or Francisco Vargas. Like I don't think they're ever gonna have the remembrance and nostalgia factor from fans that guys like Arturo Gatti have. Like I think for some reason Gatti was special. Like even though he wasn't elite, he was special for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe just he was the media darling, so therefore we remember him as such. But there's guys nowadays that I would say put on wars, maybe not to the level of Gotti Ward 1, but they put on great scraps. Like Salido Vargas, damn. Vargas
Dude,
Murrah,
Salido Vargas.
insane. Like, again, obviously not the same as Gotti Ward, but, there's guys putting on great, insane fights nowadays that for some reason will never get the remembrance that guys like Gotti did from 20 years ago.
Because Gotti went to that level, dude. You probably never see a fight these days where a person could be literally teed off on hands down defenseless and the ref still letting it go. Because that was many times the case in the Gotti Ward fights. But I, for one, like the last show we did, man, I totally respect guys with resilience and heart when I was citing James DeGale for being a great champion. And so when I see stuff like that, that grit, that determination, that's what I love. That's that's why we cite a person like Ali as the greatest for coming through in adverse times where you don't think he has the advantage, where he's actually the underdog. And Gotti, brought that out in all of us that uh, perseverance that we all have inside of us that we would love to draw on in times when we, Gotti was he just brought it out in you, the amazement of the durability of the guy. So you'll never see it. I think that day's gone when that could actually happen. But you just won't we won't get a chance to see a guy go to those extremes again.
I don't know if I don't know if I agree with that statement that we're never going to see that again, because I think it's boxing generational, boxing's cyclic, just like almost every sport. It has its ups and downs in almost every aspect, and it has its has its come around in a way.
Dude, we seen freaking who's the guy last week? The fucking ring doctor had him doing the fucking cha
That's New
cha
York,
left
though.
to
Come on,
right.
we know that New York's in a different level right now with that insurance policy.
I mean, if you watch those Gotti
Like
Ward
Texas,
fights,
think about Texas. Like Texas don't give a fuck, man. We can put on some
yeah,
crazy shit in Texas and they wouldn't care.
Gotti at times in those fights, dude, was literally like his hands were just literally down. Like fuck it, just bang bang bang, and he just kind of stumble around and come back. It's the comeback, man. It's the comeback that we
Well,
love.
it's not even that; it's the drama. Because I've always thought about
Yeah,
boxing this way. Like boxing's almost like the perfection of theater, in a way. That we go to a boxing fight, or we sit down and watch a boxing fight to be entertained and to have drama displayed before us and human athletic perfection displayed before us, all correlated together. And when we don't get that drama factor, almost like from a great novel in a way, that's why we don't think boxing fights are certainly great at times. The great fights are the ones that are dramatic, and I mean that to the fullest word. Where it has its ebbs and flows, ups and downs for each man, or each woman, like that. When it has that drama factor, that's when fights are truly great. And Gotti always brought that drama factor.
so, do you think we can have a Gotti of today? Is that possible?
Yeah, I do think so. I think it depends on the media. I think it purely depends on the media, because I do think Gotti was treated completely different than any other gatekeeper like him by the media. Because there have been guys like him before that went to war all the way back from 100 years ago and forth, and they've never received the media attention that Gotti had. And
I
maybe
don't.
Gotti's premature death,
I wouldn't classify him as a gatekeeper.
I would.
He's a he's a guy that was a contender as far as being a contender for belts. I think he was a top five guy, during the prime of his career.
Who's his best win?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I can't think of an elite guy that he's beat once.
Let's see.
I can think of elite guys that beat him.
Of course.
That's the thing. That's what a gatekeeper
Let's
is.
see.
He's a very good gatekeeper. He's not like a top 15 gatekeeper, but he's that guy that's always ranked number 10 or 8
He's
or
better
11.
than Chris Algieri is.
Yeah, in a way. Obviously Chris Algieri is not the type of boxer that Gotti is, but that sort of almost respective level in their division. Like Jesse Vargas is almost quickly turning into that. Obviously I don't value his championship as anything because that was a paper belt. Santiago, any thoughts on this discussion? I know we've kind of been talking over you, but what do you thought? What do you think?
I mean, keep hearing JP talk about the Gotti
Santiago, you're breaking in and out. Come back to us. What about now? Santiago.
Hey, Gabriel Ruelas is on Gotti's record. And yeah, we got Gabriel Ruelas. We
That's it.
Jesse James Leija.
That's not bad.
Come on, man.
That's not bad.
That's
That's not
not
bad.
terrible,
I'll give you that.
right?
I'll give you that. But again,
shit, I'm
that's
on
not
box
elite
record.
though. That's a good
No.
win. That's a good win, but that's not elite.
No. Yeah, nothing to talk about other than, Mickey Ward. Yeah,
Losing to
nothing much,
Floyd.
man.
Didn't he fight Camacho, or am I wrong about that?
I don't see Camacho. Those Ivan Robinson fights are awesome. These Ivan Robinson fights, he lost to Angel Man Freddy too. But those Ivan Robinson fights were awesome.
He lost to Angel
Ivan
Manfredi?
Robinson.
No fucking way.
Oh yeah, he lost to Angel Manfredi
I forgot
TKO.
about that. I forgot about that shit. Man,
But
Manf-
Iverson Robinson remind me of David Reed. Just one of those guys who could look so great. You know David Reed with the
yeah.
bad eye. But I don't know, man. They just I don't know. They don't sometimes they don't pan out. They could have all the athletic ability, but just never pan out.
Gotti wasn't a good athlete. He was just a good fighter. He was a guy that was just innately a good fighter.
He was a fan-friendly fighter.
True.
Hella durable. Hella durable.
Like when I think back to Arturo Gatti's career, one of the fights I look fondly back on is his comeback win over Wilson Rodriguez. Did either of you guys see that fight?
Damn, Wilson Rodriguez. I don't even see that. Oh, okay, 96. That's at 96.
I think I've seen like
Madison
highlights of
Square
that. I don't think
Garden.
I've ever seen the whole fight.
So
You
he
know,
KOs Rodriguez.
yeah, but you want to know something about that fight, JP? Gotti had his eye closed after almost maybe 4 rounds, and between rounds, the doctor was coming up to him and basically checking on him. And Gotti even tried to cheat. Like you could see him trying to pull his glove down when they were testing his eye to see if he looked. And
Now, Wilson Rodriguez is a guy I don't know about, but this guy is 48, 11, and 3. This is it's a tough guy. And he took that L to Gotti. Uh, Angel Manfredi again gives another guy an L. Yeah, sleeping on Angel Manfredi, man.
Angel Manfredi was an insane kind of fighter when he was crazy. By the time he found God, he wasn't the same kind of fighter anymore.
That damn god. This fucking guy is sick. But yeah.
All right.
Beterbiev Barrera.
Yeah, let's go to that. JP, thoughts on the fight, man? Like, I think it's a great matchup. It's on the undercard of Thurman Garcia. Thoughts?
Beterbiev, one punch knockout, 5 rounds.
You're crazy.
Right hand.
You're crazy.
Right hand, Beterbiev. Dude, Beterbiev, he has that. See, certain guys have a magnetic right hand. Mayweather had it. Triple G has it. I don't know if he has it, but when I really did my study on Golovkin and watched his amateur career, he had that magnetic right hand. Some guys have a natural right hand. It doesn't have to be in the perfect place. They can just throw that right hand. And Beterbiev has that type of right hand that is it's unorthodox. And I think Barrera is a very orthodox fighter. He's really jab, right hand. That's kind of pretty much the gist of his game. And I think Beterbiev will be able to slip that in there and clip him really good.
Santiago?
This is actually, to me, this is an attractive fight. I like where both guys are currently at in their career. Sullivan Barrera has an impressive run right now over Shabransky, in my opinion. I don't know what others think of that, but this is gonna be a fun fight. I've been following Beterbiev's career for a while now, since he knocked out Gabriel Campillo and Tavoris Cloud, and I don't know. I mean, I want to pick Beterbiev, but I'm probably gonna side with Sullivan Barrera on this one. I think he's gonna do what he needs to do to win this fight. I think his basics are gonna be on par, if not better than Beterbiev's, and he might end up being the one who challenges Andre Ward for the title, which would kind of suck because we already know where that's gonna end in the end.
Okay, I'm coming in with a hot take. Now that Kitrov lost to Alim, all these Eastern European bums are going to lose. Fact. Okay, you can bet on it. Okay, Beterbiev's going down. Gassiev's going down. Lomachenko's going down. Kovalev's going down. Klitschko's going down. They're all going down. Fact.
Hold on, Matt. So you telling me
I'm joking, by the way. I'm totally joking.
That Barrera posed a better challenge than Beterbiev would to Andre Ward?
I think Barrera has improved. I'll put it that way. I think Beterbiev is open to big shots, and Ward's not the type of guy to land those big shots. Now, while Ward could definitely negate his offense, maybe win off the inside and make it a really ugly fight, because it's Ward. Ward can do that against anyone in the light heavyweight division, and I wouldn't be shocked at all, and he's probably the favorite to do that. But I'm talking about this matchup in particular. I think Barrera poses so many issues. I think because of Beterbiev's tendency to come in with the high guard at times, or to then switch to this weird, like almost Philly shell, to look for counters. Like to me, he's just open to shots a lot of the times. And while he has good slipping ability, he rolls the shots pretty well. A guy like Barrera, who loads up on a 3 or 4 punch combination and every single shot's there to hurt you, I think Barrera, who's I think the longer, bigger boxer at the division, is probably going to land some good shots. And I think Barrera is obviously the more proven guy. I think beating a guy like Shabransky is huge. I think he didn't look awful against Ward. And I think Beterbiev is unproven. And I am leaning towards Barrera slightly to win by TKO late. But I think it's a excellent matchup. And I can see Beterbiev landing a couple hard shots, putting Barrera down early, and that completely changing the fight. And I wouldn't be shocked at all either.
I just think Beterbiev is the better athlete. He's the natural fighter, the more natural fighter of the two. That meaning he doesn't have to work hard to be as good. And that doesn't mean he doesn't work hard, but he's just more natural, more fluid, more diversity to his game than Barrera. So for me, I just think that Beterbiev, a.k.a. Wolverine Jr., will get that shot in there and really hurt Barrera.
I can see that. I can see that entirely. So you're going Beterbiev. Santiago's going Barrera. I'm going Barrera. I think it's going to be a great matchup. Do you think it does anything to ticket sales, to viewership on the card, or is it just one of those undercard fillers for people in attendance?
Yeah, my daughter has a cheer competition in Ontario next week. I think we're going to sell more tickets.
I'm personally just hoping this fight doesn't end up on HBO Latino. I don't want to have to deal with that personally.
So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up here. It's a late night. We're really doing like a 15-minute show. Like look at us doing overtime. It's been a great one with you breaking down Bellator 170, doing a little bit of a reaction to the main event of ShoBox tonight, which was Adam Lopez versus Daniel Roman, and then obviously previewing the great announcement of Artur Beterbiev versus Sullivan Barrera for the IBF eliminator for Andre Ward's IBF light heavyweight title. Obviously support us at patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Follow us at Mixed Combat Radio on Facebook and Mixed Combat News on Twitter. JP and Santiago, any social media information you want to give out? JP?
At Family First, Heavy-Handed J on Twitter. Follow.
Those who are interested in following anything boxing related on my page can find me on Facebook at SANT731.
It's been a great one, guys. You enjoy this one on maybe your commute tomorrow if you guys are going anywhere, any of you listeners. Again, comment, share, like, and have a good night. Peace.